Hello there. Been a while, hasn't it, since I've done one of these YouTube things. Pretty sure the last time I did a video on this channel was September. You know, when I was trying to, upload at least once a month. Yeah, my latest upload was September and it's now January. I did an awful job at that. I'll explain everything that went on in a later video, but in today's video, I'm going to be doing my most anticipated films of 2023, top 10, with a couple of honourable mentions. I can't believe it's been over a year since I did my most anticipated films of 2022. Time is flying by unbelievably quickly. So anyway, we're going to be talking about a couple of honourable mentions, and the first honourable mention I have is Babylon. It's a bit strange that this is an honourable mention because it was actually the movie I was most excited for this year, but it's already released in 2022 for the United States of America, and is releasing in the UK, where I live, late January. And most of my audience is American, so I don't really want to confuse them by putting it in the actual list. And I feel like if I did put it in the actual list, I would owe them another movie, because to them, Babylon is so last year, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's why it's an honourable mention, but I am actually super excited for Babylon. I won't be able to watch it in cinemas because you have to be 18 to watch it, and I am not quite there yet. So despite the fact that the movie has flopped domestically and isn't being rated as highly as I expected it to be, I am still really looking forward to seeing it. I love Damien Chazelle as a director, I love Whiplash, and I love La La Land. I've not seen First Man yet, but, it's probably good because Damien Chazelle is a very talented man. My last honourable mention is Andy Muschietti's The Flash. Now, I know that this film has been delayed countless times, and I honestly wouldn't be shocked if it got delayed again, but because of all these delays, and there's also the fact that Michael Keaton is returning as Batman, I am still very curious to see this movie. I mean, it got some test screenings and the audiences really liked it, got a lot of positive feedback. Apparently, General Zod from Man of Steel is coming back. There's some new version of Supergirl. Ben Affleck is also in it. You know, we've got 2 live-action Batmen. And, yeah, I mean, it just sounds really interesting. And, the whole multiverse thing has become a very trendy thing in Hollywood recently. And I'm not yet sick of it. I want to see more multiverse films. I love Spider-Verse. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness wasn't perfect, but I still quite liked it a lot, mainly for Sam Raimi's style. But yeah, I just want to see some more multiverse in these comic book films because it's just a really interesting concept, and I think it works with the Flash character. Now getting into the real top 10, we have Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Now, I'm going to be completely honest here and say I've only actually seen one Indiana Jones movie, and it was The Temple of Doom, which isn't even considered to be one of the best ones in the franchise. Probably like second worst after Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So you may be wondering, if you haven't even seen like the best films in the franchise, then why are you looking forward to the 5th installment? Well, I thought The Temple of Doom was pretty enjoyable. It was a decent film, and I imagine the other ones, apart from Crystal Skull, are even better and more entertaining. I've seen like certain parts of some of the other movies. I've seen like the climax of The Last Crusade and parts of Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I also played the Lego game, so even though I've seen hardly any of the movies, I still consider myself an Indiana Jones fan. Also, this new movie is going to be directed by James Mangold, who directed Logan, which is one of my favourite films, definitely one of the greatest comic book films out there. He also directed the Wolverine film, which is like the second movie in the Wolverine trilogy, which is But because of what James Mangold was able to do with the Wolverine character and have the perfect finale for Logan, I think he'll do a really good job at concluding this franchise. I also just really like Harrison Ford as an actor. I love him in so many films. I love him in Blade Runner. I'm a big Blade Runner fan. I love the original Star Wars trilogy, him as Han Solo. He's just iconic in that role. And yeah, overall, he's really enjoyable in basically everything he's in. He has a small role in Apocalypse Now, which doesn't really add much to the movie, but just because he was in the movie, it made him memorable. He's just one of those actors where he could have the smallest role in a movie, but you can still remember him just for the fact that he's Harrison Ford. I know some people are out there thinking, dude, how have you never seen the Indiana Jones movies? And yeah, it is kind of strange that I haven't watched the entire franchise because it's just so iconic and so loved. But I will make sure I watch all of the films before this releases, even Temple of Doom, even though I've already seen it before, because, I'm committed. In ninth place, I have Wes Anderson's Asteroid City. Now, I haven't seen many Wes Anderson films, but the one that I have seen is Fantastic Mr. Fox, and that is my favourite animated film of all time. And yeah, Wes Anderson, I just really love his visual style. Even though I haven't really seen many of his films, I'm aware of what his style looks like, and it is really unique and really appealing to the eyes. So I really can't wait to see what he brings to Asteroid City. It has a really great cast. You got Margot Robbie, Scarlett Johansson, Willem Dafoe, fucking Bryan Cranston. In my number 8 spot, I have Evil Dead Rise, the new Evil Dead remake. This is the first Evil Dead movie to release since 2013. It is releasing, I think it's releasing in April. I think that's right. A trailer was recently released for it, and it looked pretty interesting. It was different from what we're used to from this franchise. Every other movie takes place in a cabin in the woods, and this movie takes place in an apartment building, which is definitely interesting. I am a really big fan of Evil Dead 2. It is one of my favourite horror films of all time. I absolutely love it. The original Evil Dead was also pretty great. The story wasn't really anything too special, but the visuals were unique and creative, which I really appreciate, especially since the movie was on a very low budget. And those are the only Evil Dead films I've seen, unfortunately. I haven't seen Army of Darkness, although it is a high priority for me on my watch list. I haven't seen the 2013 remake, but I have heard mixed things about it. Some people like it, some people aren't a fan. But yeah, I really do like the first two movies, and so I'm looking forward to this one. The reason why it's so low on the list, though, is because I don't really know if it will be any good. I mean, yeah, I like the old ones, but that's mainly because Sam Raimi is the director, and he has a really unique style of filmmaking. But this one is not directed by Sam Raimi, so this could either be really shit, really good, or just pretty mediocre, really. I have no idea how this will turn out, so I am skeptical, but I am still very curious to see it. In seventh place, I have Pixar's Elemental. Now, I like Pixar. I really do like Pixar, but I haven't really kept up with their movies recently. Like, I've seen all the classics, like Monsters, Inc., Cars, Toy Story, Wall-E, all of those films, which are great, by the way. But, their recent movies like Luca, Turning Red, and Lightyear, I haven't seen. So I can't really form an opinion on modern day Pixar. But I will say I am very looking forward to Elemental, and this is the most excited I have been for a new Pixar release in a long time because it just looks fucking cool. Like, have you seen the trailer? Like, these character designs look brilliant, and the whole world that they're building looks fantastic, seriously. And the fact that it's going to be like a romance between a fire woman and a water guy, that's cool. Like, I doubt it'll be like a straight up romance movie like 500 Days of Summer or something, because, it is Pixar, they still gotta, like, entertain the kids with some crazy subplot or whatever. But yeah, I do expect this to be a very cute film to watch, very enjoyable, very nice to look at. The trailer has caught my attention. Uh, and yeah, something else to note is that it reminds me of that really old game, Fireboy and Water Girl. Uh, yeah, and I really liked playing that game as a young kid, so maybe that has had an influence on my excitement for this film. But yeah, I'm really excited. This might be the first Pixar film I will see in theaters since Cars 3, I think. Wow, that was like 5 years ago. In sixth place, I have David Fincher's The Killer, starring Michael Fassbender. Now, I've seen about 3 David Fincher films. Not a lot, but those 3 films that I have seen, I did really like. Panic Room is one that I saw, which I thought was a very decent thriller. And I've also seen Fight Club and Seven, which are actually like 2 of my favorite films of all time. So, yeah, I have seen enough of David Fincher's filmography to know that he is a very talented filmmaker. Also, the premise for this movie just really captivated me, a lonely assassin who is losing his mind. Just that description makes me believe that this is going to be similar to Fight Club and films like Taxi Driver, Nightcrawler, American Psycho, films that lonely men would label as literally me movies or Sigma male movies. And I do really love most of those movies. American Psycho, Fight Club, like I said, I really like. Taxi Driver, currently and maybe forever, my favorite film of all time. So yeah, really looking forward to The Killer. In my number 5 spot, I have Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. This movie has quite the cast. Cillian Murphy, Emily Blunt, Florence Pugh, Matt Damon, fucking Robert Downey Jr. Very happy to see that he's in this movie because I haven't really seen him in many movies recently. Like, ever since he was done with Marvel, the only movie I've really seen him in was Dolittle. Well, I didn't watch the movie, but I know he's in it, and that's the most recent film I've heard him star in, and apparently that movie was pretty shitty, so yeah, I'm very happy to see that Robert Downey Jr. is in Oppenheimer, because I actually really like Robert Downey Jr. as an actor, and he needs to get more roles. Overall, the cast is looking really great, and this is in competition with Asteroid City for the best cast of 2023 because you got some big names in here and an amazing level of talent. Wow. Oppenheimer seems to be one of Christopher Nolan's more character-driven stories, as a lot of his other films mainly focus on trying to execute a grand idea really well, and those big groundbreaking concepts that he has in a lot of his films are what really drives his films, rather than the characters themselves. But this seems to be more of a character study about the man J. Robert Oppenheimer. And I think the fact that this is going to be a sort of character study about a real historical figure is what's going to make this stand out amongst the rest of Christopher Nolan's filmography. In 4th place, I have the Barbie movie. Yeah, I'm being serious. This movie is being hyped up a lot. Like, everyone knows about it. Everyone who's interested in film knows about the massive hype around the Barbie movie. So I'm not even going to talk about it that much. I'm just going to say Greta Gerwig is a very talented director. Ryan Gosling is playing Ken, and he's one of the most likable actors in the film industry right now. And Margot Robbie is one of the biggest stars in the film industry right now. She's also just genuinely a really great actress, and the trailer looks great. The whole Barbie world looks pretty well done. Yeah, I have a feeling Greta Gerwig is going to make something really special here. It may not look like much on the surface, but I feel like this is going to be kind of similar to the Lego movie, where it doesn't really look like much, but once you actually see the movie, it kind of blows you away and really exceeds your expectations. In 3rd place, I have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Now, when I did my most anticipated films of 2022, half of the films on that top 10 were MCU films. And this year it's definitely different because Guardians of the Galaxy is the only MCU film that is on the list. And the main reason for that is that I've just completely lost interest in the MCU. There's been a big dip in quality in their films slash TV shows. A lot of Phase 4 projects were really shit, and Phase 4 overall was not very good. But I trust James Gunn. He is a great director. I think he's going to conclude the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy in a satisfying way. The trailer looked beautiful. Can't wait. In second place, I have Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I know I said there are no other MCU films on the list apart from Guardians 3, but this is completely separate from the MCU, and the Spider-Verse films are some of the few Marvel films that aren't a part of that whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, which I like. It's more refreshing, and the first Spider-Verse film from 2018, gosh, it was that long ago. Yeah, that film was amazing. The best Spider-Man film for sure. And this one looks great visually, but I am a little bit worried that they might be trying to do too much. Like if you watch the trailers, there's a lot of Spider-Man, there's a lot of things going on, and Sony has kind of had an issue with Spider-Man sequels where they try and cram in so much that it just destroys the movie. And it's usually not the fault of the writers or directors, it's usually studio interference that wrecks the movies. And I hope Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse won't be another victim of a Sony studio interference. Hopefully it's just as good, if not better, than the first one. It would be amazing if it's even better, because the first one is already a very strong film. But in first place, I have Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon. Now, I started getting into Martin Scorsese's filmography about a year ago, and I just fell in love with his films. And he's my current favourite director, and this movie stars my two favourite actors, Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio. So, why? There's literally nothing holding this back from being number one. Like, this is so exciting to me. This is sounding like it could be one of my new favourites once I see it, because there's really nothing that is holding this back. Like, I know I already said that, but this is looking like it's going to be another masterpiece from Martin Scorsese. And that's pretty much all I'm going to say. The only sad thing is that we don't really have a release date for this movie for some reason. It was originally going to come out last year, but it didn't, so we're just going to assume that it's going to come out sometime this year, because we haven't got a release date yet, but it's very far in production, so it's fair to assume it will release in 2023. I don't know why it's taking us so long to get a release date, but please give us a release date, give us a trailer. I am so hyped for this. So those were just my 10 most anticipated films of 2023. Yes, I know I'm very late. It's February. Everyone else releases these videos in January because, you know, it's the most anticipated films of the year. Obviously, you're going to release that in the first month of the year. But yeah, I'm just always late. I'm late to everything. That's just sort of my thing, being late. But I promise it's not my fault. I rarely ever get the chance to make videos. No fault of mine. That's just my situation at the moment. Hopefully things will improve and I'll be able to get videos out more often. But at the moment, don't expect videos to be coming at you too regularly. It'll probably be like monthly or every few weeks, unfortunately. I still have to do my every film I saw in 2022 ranked video, even though that's also something most people do in January. Yeah, my schedule is a mess. I barely even have a schedule. But yeah, that's just the way things are at the moment. If you did enjoy this video, then that's lovely. Something else I feel is appropriate for me to mention is, if you do like listening to me talk about film, then maybe you should consider following me on Letterboxd if you are not already following me. My account, profile, whatever will be in the description below where you can follow me. I post reviews very frequently and I have lists that you can take a look at that are always being updated. And Letterboxd is just, a really fun place to visit if you're a fan of film like me. So yeah, goodbye.